Bonjour, comment tu t'appelles? Tu habites où? Quel âge as-tu? Quelle est ta nationalité? Est-ce que tu aimes le chocolat? Pourquoi apprends-tu le français? Vous allez où ce soir? So many questions. You must have come across many of them. You must have also used them. But it is very important to know how to frame the questions correctly. That's what this video is for. Let's learn how to frame questions in French. Different types of questions, different ways of asking a question, everything in this video. Okay, let's start learning. Okay, so les questions, there are two types of questions. Okay, les questions fermées and les questions ouvertes. What is the difference between the two? Fermées and ouvertes. So, les questions fermées, these are the questions that do not have a question word. Okay, question word no. Okay, and on the other hand, les questions ouvertes are the ones with question word. Okay, what are question words? Où, comment, combien, pourquoi, quand, etc. Yes, so question fermée, we don't have question words. In question ouverte, we have a question word. Yes. What is the other difference? Les questions fermées are also called yes or no questions. Yes, because to answer this question, we say a yes or no. Yes. For example, do you live in London? Yes, I live in London. No, I don't live in London. This is question fermée, no question word. Question ouverte. We have multiple possible answers. Where do you live? Question ouverte. We have a question word where, and we can answer it with I live in Paris, I live in Brazil, I live in this area, I live here, I live there. So these questions are les questions ouvertes. That's the difference. Okay, we learn both, but let's first focus on les questions fermées. Okay, les questions fermées. Yes, let's first have a look at the example. Tu habites à Paris? Yes, tu habites à Paris? Second question. Est-ce que tu habites à Paris? Third question. Habites-tu à Paris? What is the difference? Is the meaning different? No, they mean the same. Do you live in Paris? That's it. What changes is in the way in which we frame the question. Okay, the placement, the position of the words. Yes. So these are the three ways of writing the same question. Okay. What are these three ways? The first one is the simplest one, intonation. Yes. Why is it called intonation? Because if you observe, this question is like a sentence, subject, verb, object. Okay. So if it's put like this, it is a sentence. Tu habites à Paris? Sentence. Now, if we put a question mark, it becomes a question. Tu habites à Paris? Okay. Tu habites à Paris? So, by changing the intonation, it becomes a question. Yes. If not, it looks like a normal sentence. That is the intonation method. Subject, verb, object, question mark. As simple as that. The second method is the ESC method. Yes. What do we do here? we simply put est-ce que before the subject and then subject, verb, object. That is est-ce que. Yes. So est-ce que doesn't have meaning as such. It's just a way of asking the question. Okay? Like you live in Paris. Do you live in Paris? Okay? And the third way of asking a question is inversion. As you can see over here, we have switched the places. Habite, the verb comes first and then the subject with a hyphen in between. So habites-tu à Paris? So verb hyphen subject and then the rest of the sentence or rest of the question. That is the third method, inversion. That's it. As simple as that. But when do we use intonation method, est-ce que method, inversion method? So generally, intonation method is used in informal situation and mostly when we are speaking. Okay, while speaking, this one is used more. And est-ce que is the standard method. It can be used in any situation. And inversion is more formal, and when we write, this is used. Okay, this is not a strict rule. Okay, that we have to use this only in the formal situation. It's not a rule, but this is what we use generally in these situations. Okay, so right now you have to focus on learning all the three types. Okay, learn them well so that later on, when you have to use a particular type of question in a particular situation, it becomes easy for you. Okay, that you'll get to know as you practice more. That here I have to use intonation, here est-ce que, here both, here inversion, like that. Okay, but right now focus on learning all the three ways of asking the question. Now let's take one more example. Okay, il écrit un message. Il écrit un message. Intonation. Sujet, verbe, objet. Yes, and then a question mark. Simple. Next, just add est-ce que before it. We already have this question. Il écrit un message. Before that, we add est-ce que. Okay. Now, this is a vowel, so que will change to q apostrophe. Okay, so est-ce qu'il écrit un message? Yes, the second method. And the third one, we do inversion. Yes, the verb first, and then the subject with a hyphen in between. Écrit-il un message? Okay, écrit-il un message? Question. Yes, that's how it is. That's it for les questions fermées. Okay, now let's come to les questions ouvertes. These are the ones with question words. So let's first revise les mots interrogatifs. Okay, so what is qui? Who? What is quand? When? What is quoi or que or qu'est-ce que? What? What is quel, quel? What are these? Which or what? You've learned when quel is which and when it is what. Then, what is combien or combien de? How much? How many? Yes. Next, what is comment? How? What is pourquoi? Why? And what is où? Where? These are the question words. Okay, very important because that's what we need in question ouverte. Okay, so let's learn question ouverte with an example. Question ouverte also has three ways of writing. Okay, three ways, same intonation, esque and inversion. Okay, intonation, esque and inversion. Let's take an example. Tu habites où? The simplest example that you have used also. Okay, tu habites où? So if you observe here also, it starts with the subject and then the verb and then interrogative word and the rest of the sentence. Tu habites où? Now, what to do in case of esque? Obviously, we add esque and then we have the rest of the question. Okay, it is like intonation, but we add esque before it. But here, it's an open question, so there is an interrogative word. We have to give it some importance, right? So it will not be placed after the verb, but it will be coming here, okay, in the beginning of the question. Yes. So the question word goes to the beginning of the question in esque method as well as in inversion method. See, generally, if we invert, this is how it should be. But we have to give importance to the question word, so it will go to the beginning of the question. Où habites-tu? That's the only change. Yes, the position of the question word in esque method and in inversion method. That is important. That's what changes over here. Okay. So if you are starting your question with a question word, right? That's what our what we do in English. Yes. Mostly we start the question with a question word. So we are used to that way. So if you're starting the question with a question word, you have to use esque method or inversion method. Okay. If not, you have to start the question with a subject. Remember. Okay. You can see over here. Okay. If you're starting the question with a question word, you have to follow esque or inversion method. If not, you have to put the question word after the verb. Okay. Subject, verb, and then question word and the rest of the sentence. Okay. That's how it is. Let's take one more example. Okay. So, yes.